What's out there? What creates the shadows in the corners or the creatures of the dark? Who are those on the other side? What do they have to say? This is the Gateway Podcast. This is not your normal style of paranormal talk radio. Brought to you live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM New Orleans.
Welcome to this episode of the Gateway Podcast. I'm your host, C.L. Thomas. So this week, I don't even know what to say about this week, guys. It's going by pretty fast, isn't it? So I met a couple of guests just recently, and I met them out in Las Vegas, somewhere in North Las Vegas. They came here. They live pretty close, and we got to talking, and they're really neat people. I think you guys are going to really like them. It's Scott and Kimberly Horn. They're going to be joining me to talk about paranormal investigative equipment. Everything just froze. I'm so sorry, guys. My computer just completely froze up. It's been one of those kind of tech kind of days, you know. Let me see if I can get this to go so I can switch them on here. While I'm doing this, though, let me tell you, last week I had a guest, Greg. His name was Greg Bakken, and we talked about some really neat stuff. So you know what I did this weekend? I tried an experiment where, hold on, I'm still trying to fool with this. I did an experiment where I sat around and tried to contact different spirits in order to, this is just not working. Sorry, guys. In order to create a piece that I'm working on, a writing piece, I wanted to channel some spirits. And the idea comes from, well, a lot of people have done it in the past, but in particular, what we talked about last week is there's a book written by Napoleon Hill. And in that book, he channels 8 different spirits around like a boardroom every night so that he could get guidance into writing this book. It's really, really interesting. So I've been trying that with a writing project that I'm working on, and I've gotten some really neat results. And I wanted to know if anybody else out there has ever tried that. And if you have, and you've gotten some results, be sure to share them with me because I would really like to know what you got. And this is just not going to work, is it? So, you guys, I have been struggling with
Oh,
We're muted.
no audio. Yeah, she's muted.
Yeah, you're muted to us. I don't know if you can hear us.
hello.
There you go.
There you go.
Yay, it's working.
Hi, everybody.
Apple did some kind of update on their software, and now like nothing is working on my laptop. Like absolutely nothing works. It's ridiculous. Like Adobe doesn't work. Chrome is not working, which usually runs this entire program of StreamYard. Nothing is working. I'm kind of mad about it right now. So, but anyways, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. Hey, everybody.
After all of that, so you guys, we met, what, almost 2 weeks ago now here in Las Vegas?
Yep, officially, but I've had you on my Pay It Forward. And
Yes.
yeah, but officially, yes. A couple weeks ago in person, which we really enjoyed having lunch with you and get to actually sit down and have a real live conversation face to face changes the game a little bit.
Yes, it does. It's different when you meet people in person versus I just met another guy too in Boston recently. I had him on my show twice, and when you meet somebody in person like that, it's like, oh, they're a real person. They're not just a face talking on a screen. It's just different. But we talked about putting together some things in the near future that we may be
I'm
putting out
excited.
there, announcing soon. We really can't say a whole lot about it, but it's going to be pretty exciting, isn't it?
I'm excited for that. I really am. It's right up our alley, something that we would definitely think that people would benefit from. That's the little hint.
Well, you guys, you sound just a little bit low. I know we didn't get to go over the equipment because I was having some problems. Do you have a microphone that you can turn up just a little bit?
It's going through my computer, my laptop microphone.
Let's see if I can turn on my.
Hang on. Let me grab it. I think I got one.
I had to turn my flashlight on my camera on so I can even see the, the button. It's tough getting older. I know we have one. I think he ran to get it. So, and if we need to put the computer closer, we can do that too.
Is anyone in the audience? Can you hear okay? Sorry for all the snag tonight.
It's the retrograde. Blame it on the retrograde.
It probably is. There really is something to that, So it just so happens I go to log on to the show and this update happens and it's like, bam, nothing works. But in the meantime,
yeah,
I think we'll be okay. Tell Scott to come back and we'll just go.
Come on, Scott. I think he has something in his hand, but
I don't know if it's charged. That's the problem.
oh, well, we'll just kind of wing it.
Oh, Tabitha says, how are you? I'm doing okay. I'm a little on edge tonight. All right, you guys, everyone says that we can hear you. I can hear you. Everything appears to be working for the time being.
Okay.
So
We won't mess with it.
Yeah, it's not broke. Don't fix it.
don't touch anything. That means my cat too. Do not jump up here. All right. How did you guys get into this?
Well, we got married.
Paranormal and building equipment and just the whole deal. What led to this?
Yeah, we've been together now for about 11 years.
Going on 12, yeah.
And I guess when we got married or when we got together, paranormal was never even on my mind. It was all my wife's. So she can tell you more about that up to that point, I guess.
I was born with abilities. And being like seventh kid in a family, all boys. And
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting upbringing. So I'd always go with my brothers and we'd go out on cemeteries and things like that, holidays, and they'd always try to scare me, but we'd always be doing stuff like that. And the curiosity was always there. And then all the things that happened to me growing up as a kid and the stories, we were pretty open to that kind of stuff in our family. But I kept a lid on it because, growing up in the country and I'm in my 50s. And so a lot of the people I was around, that was taboo to talk about stuff like that. So I kept a lot of stuff locked in and didn't share it. So when I got into my 20s, I started dabbling in stuff with the spirituality really heavy and doing like tarot and getting my astrology involved in having people doing readings for me. And I would, my mom showed me how to use a pendulum when I was a little kid. And it was with a needle into basically into a pencil eraser on a string. And that was the pendulum she taught us how to use. And so, but it was, and my dad, he witched wells, water wells and things like that. So it was always been in that sense, and that was okay. But I kept the tarot card reading quiet, things like that. And I dabbled a lot. And had a lot of experiences that I couldn't explain. And I was really pretty much afraid of some of the stuff I was seeing all the time. And I had nobody to really come out and talk to about it. And so I kind of just dealt with it quietly. And then when Scott and I got together, I had gotten older, you know, to the point of like, why am I hiding all this stuff? I'm going to finally be who I am and just come out and tell him, kind of like the whole politics things. You may not agree with my politics, my religion, or this, but if we're going to be together, you need to know this is a main part of my life. And so he's like, okay, but like you said, politics, religion, I still have my own views on things. Don't try to change my mind on stuff. So that's how we went into it. He was very much a skeptic going in, didn't believe in it. And so I would say, guess what? I just saw somebody, and he'd kind of quietly roll his eyes like, whatever. She's a little boo-boo, but I love her. And so
Nothing's changed.
So that was how it began. And then we were at Good Springs. We were in Vegas, and we went to Good Springs. I talked him into going on a ghost hunt with me. He's like, all right, something to do.
Yeah, it was a tour. They give you the cheap little EMF meter. And I think we actually went and bought a digital recorder before we went out there. And
so I had my phone, and it was on my phone, or it was on my Sony recorder.
We had a recorder, yep.
I was walking down the road, and I was talking. I knew there was energy out there. I could feel it. But then the story from the tour guide at the time from Vegas said there was a little girl that got hit by a car, she thought, out there. And so we were walking the road out there trying to get EVPs, and I was taking pictures with my phone and stuff, and it was pretty interesting. All we had was the whole EMF reader going crazy.
We had no idea what we were doing. We were just mimicking what they were
But
saying.
it was fun.
You guys went with that group. There's a group that does that every other week or so?
Maybe.
Yeah, we left Vegas like in a van. There was like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
And, yep.
We went with a couple that was out of England, and it was super neat. And the whole atmosphere, being at night, walking around town, collecting, was fun. But then the people that were with us, they had their phone up, and they're like, guys, look at this. And on his phone, you couldn't see it with your naked eye, but on his phone, he'd hold his phone up, and there was this huge bright orb, and it was dancing around the room, around the table, and around where the gunshot hole is in the wall at the Pioneer Saloon. And it was just dancing and doing all the stuff, and we were like in awe watching it. And then pretty soon, we started seeing it with our naked eye. And it was just like putting on a show for us, creating its own light. And we're like, that's odd. You know, what is that? It's not dust. It's not this. So Scott started a little bit getting curious, because he's like, I can debunk it. And so that started us on the roll. We got that midnight, I was playing back my recorder, and sure enough, we had a little girl from that walk in the road EVP that goes, help, just like that on there. Then looking back at some of the photos over the years, I'd never caught it before, but I'd put it on my big screen TV. I had seen a shadow man over by the school in the tree. So I had to take a bunch of pictures trying, hoping I could catch the shadow man. And so I could show him and say, hey, see, what is this? Well, later on, years later, when I put it and lightened the picture, there's actually a little boy, and I'm outside the chain link. There's a little boy standing up looking at the same shadow man as I took the picture of. And over the years, I hadn't noticed the little boy was there, and he's in my picture. It's the coolest photography. I mean, just with a regular phone camera, caught just amazing stuff that night. So then from that point on, Scott's like, okay, I want to understand how all this works. And he went on the equipment making side.
Yeah, I think, catching that EVP on a digital voice or digital recorder, that kind of like, okay, the equipment side of it I can use to catch stuff, because I don't see things ever, hardly. I don't feel much. I get a few things, just like the sixth sense type stuff, but I don't feel anything like what my wife does. So the equipment side of it, to me, helps validate things that she sees or hears.
That's
things
kind
like
of
that.
Where it got to be, was the validation I was getting from investigating, knowing and seeing and feeling. It gave me the validation that I'd been looking for all my life.
Yeah.
Because I am like, am I crazy? Yeah, sure, I'm crazy. But no, really, this has helped me make sense of this, because this doesn't make sense to me either. And so him with his logical side, I could say something. He's like, well, look at this. Look at the way the light hits. Think about it this way. And he would take me. I'm like, okay, that's a possibility. But why do I feel this way with this? You know, and so your whole, you know, your clairs and things. So we started down that path. And over time, I think he's come around to believe in a lot of what's out there is just basically unexplained science at this point, you know, in his mind. And that's a good way to look at it when you're looking at making equipment, because we just haven't figured this stuff out yet, you know. And I think as psychic mediums and people with abilities, our body is our first tool. And I've been more attuned to it all my life than maybe somebody who had just gotten into it. And so I can pick up on when the energy changes quicker and things like that. And so what we would do on our investigations is we'd set up, I'd say, I'm feeling something over here. So we'd set up equipment in that location and see if we caught anything to back up my feelings so that I could get the validation, like, okay, so there was something with my senses telling me there was something up over there. And the same with him, like, oh, okay, he believes me more when I say, we need to check that out. There's a reason we need to check that out or something.
So there's a ton of equipment out there. So when you guys talk about equipment, what exactly are you talking about?
We have a ton. Our favorite stuff that we always take, we like recorders. We like cameras, because cameras, we always use our XLS or SLS cameras. That's our big signature piece. We use RIM pods, we use EMF detectors, we use spirit boxes, we use all kinds of other stuff, but our main go-tos usually are cameras and recorders and things like that. But we always like to use more than one way to capture, to validate. We don't just base it on, oh, we saw a stick figure on our SLS. We like to catch other angles of it too, because there's been situations where we've had CCT cameras running over an entire building and they've gone out except for like one, but we've had a static camera, like a night vision set up in a location and it not pick something up, but a CCT camera picked it up out of 6 cameras playing in the same direction. So there's a lot of phenomena that we don't understand, but it's weird how spirit or whatever energies it is can utilize a piece of equipment one way versus another. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what we always like to look at. So we always take more than one piece. We don't go off and just go walking in and saying, you know what, we're in it for the experience, but we're in it to catch evidence. That's our biggest thing. And we don't really share that. We have a YouTube, but we don't go and we don't do content. We don't do stuff like that. It was more of a personal journey for us when we started this. So, I mean, we got tons of stuff, got tons of years of stuff. So
when you guys build this stuff, are you, how do you build this stuff? I guess is the question.
So basically almost everything in the paranormal world, as far as equipment, is you're reading the environment, right? Whether it's temperature, electromagnetic frequencies, things like that, radio waves. So I do 3D printing. On our website, you can go hornparanormal.com or .shop. I do 3D printing. Everything that we sell is designed by me. We look for initially. Let me back up a little bit so I think it was like 2015 or 2016. I bought a SLS camera, and at that time, it was pretty much the only one being built out there. And I got it, and I was like, "This is cool," but for what I paid for it is ridiculous. The price and all that. So my goal was always to better that idea of the SLS camera into something more affordable for one, and then more compact quality piece of equipment. But I did build that one it was casually for 4 or 5 years, I suppose. Mm. And then when I got my first 3D printer, I started really looking at how to, I guess, up our game.
Change the housing.
And a lot of the stuff out there is more about packaging.
Yeah.
There's
Make
probably
it pretty.
Yeah, you can take the same thing and put it in different
In a
packages,
box.
different lights, you know, things like that. And
Or they'll put a crystal on top of a box or something.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. And I'm not, you know, I'm not dogging on anybody with any of this stuff. You know, I started somewhere with this stuff. I think my first piece after the SLS was a motion sensor, or Modus, which is a great piece of
Mhm.
equipment. You know, but there's only so much you can do.
With
You
the
know,
elements.
there's been so many people building stuff, and it's getting hard to create different things. But we just try to have something unique.
Our own spin on it.
Yeah, and something quality that's going to last a long time. We're kind of right now.
Grab your SLS.
Yeah, I guess now's as good as time as any.
So the SLS and the XLS came out in this last year or two, a couple years ago, I guess, and was featured.
Well, this is the SLS, which uses the Connect 360 technology.
We made it like 3 pounds. We made it as light as
It's
we
actually
could.
2 pounds.
Is that what it is?
Yep. And it's, you know, we've got any camera adapter, quarter 20, put it on a tripod. It comes with a handle, comes in a case. I actually just redid this version. This has got a different battery on it with a USB port. And then we've added it comes with the housing battery, LED status. What that's used for is if you upgrade to the 10-inch tablet, you can actually charge the tablet off of here while you're using it to extend your runtime. Otherwise, there's an 8-inch tablet version that's just, you'll get about an hour and a half.
So for people
Worth
who
of use
don't
off of
know, Scott, what an SLS camera is, explain
Yeah,
to them.
what
Because there's
if I
a lot
don't know what it is?
Okay. So,
Yeah, you guys are throwing out a whole lot of words. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
all right. So an SLS stands for structured light sensor. What it does, it puts out an IR grid, and the algorithm in the program is looking for joints, skeletal joints. The SLS version is looking for approximately 20 joints. You know, your head, your human figure, basically. But it's only mapping in 2-dimensional because it's just looking at the face of the grid, and it's looking for that break in the light. So then the XLS, which grab it here, sorry. This is a little bigger guy.
This is an upgrade,
Yep,
basically.
It's similar design. You got the battery indicator on the bottom.
Bigger, heavier, because
Yeah, this is as light as you can get it because the weight of the sensor itself. And it does have a double capacity battery. But the technology this uses,
it's more LiDAR.
it uses time of flight. It sends out a signal, and it's calculating the time it takes to come back to the receiver. So it maps in 3-dimensional. So like the SLS, it will actually map like chairs, coat racks.
Yeah, false positives
Yep.
more.
It might map your figure in a mirror or in a window because it's just using that front face look. Where this will actually, I'm not going to say it eliminates all false positives because I've seen it do it, but very, very few. When we were doing the test on this design, we were at Trans-Allegheny, and I swept the 4th floor with nobody else up there for an hour and a half, and I got nothing on the screen. Put it down, charged it up, went back up about 4 a.m, where some friends of ours were getting activity in the one room. We took this up there, and sure enough, where they were getting stuff, where there was a gentleman supposedly through history was guarding a closet, an older gentleman, it actually picked up a figure on the closet door. As well as a small child figure up above a window. And that's all we got that whole night. So I believe there's some validity to the technology versus.
They do have their own. Now the speakers are through the laptop or through the tablets. So it has like
it will record audio as well as video.
So we've caught EVPs through
Yep.
it as well.
Yep.
So that's kind of neat when you actually pick up a figure and then you catch an EVP in real time with it. That's pretty neat. And then of course, like Scott was saying at Trans-Allegheny, let's say you have a REM pod going off or somebody's getting some kind of communication going on and then something shows up on that. So that's what we like I said, more than one piece of equipment. but these are our main sources. We get activity sometimes that don't show on there as stick figures through other stuff. And I'm not sure what that is. I don't know if that's like residual energy or what that is, but that's stuff for all of us paranormal investigators to investigate and try to figure out.
Do you think it could be different entities maybe? Because I
I
know
do.
medium, I tend to pick up right away if it's a human, but if it's not, like just this past weekend, I was someplace with a group of people. We went to look for this horse camp out in the middle of nowhere, literally. And we were picking up on something, but it wasn't human.
Yes.
Do you think it's the same
Yes.
with equipment? Maybe it doesn't pick up.
One of the things I noticed with the XLS and SLS, and a lot of people have done this with theirs and realized it, it'll stretch out figures and go up a wall, reach out like legs, like stringing. When I walk into a room and I'm like, that's elemental energy, which to me, it's not earth wind. When I say elemental, that means non-human. That means a different type of energy signature. So to me, elemental means a blanket term of not human. It's something else. But when it maps that, it goes stretches, and it is weird. And usually when we run in energy like that, it's the kind that shuts your cameras down and that sort of thing too. So it's pretty interesting to catch that.
Yeah, we've got some pretty good footage from the Goldfield Cemetery.
That's great.
From back like in 16 or 17.
With the SLS.
From the SLS. So it's on our Facebook page, One Paranormal Research, if anybody wanted to look at that.
Part of it is.
Yeah, we caught a lot. We seem to have really good luck with the XLS and SLS in cemeteries for some reason. Yeah. And I'm not sure why, but we generally will pick up figures like sitting with their back against the headstones.
Yeah.
And we've seen it more than probably, half a dozen times.
The neatest thing that happened at the Goldfield Cemetery, I'll never forget it, was we started mapping one person sitting in front of us tombstone, and another one showed up, and we read the names, and it was a man and wife, and we watched it like scurry over and look like they were holding each other's hands in front of us, sitting together. And that was just like, wow. Yeah, that was really neat. Yeah.
You just made me think about something, how we forget that we talk about all these ghosts and spirits, but we forget that a lot of times these were people.
Yeah.
They had whole lives and dreams and hopes, and just like us. We always seem to forget that. Yeah,
always go in with a bunch of respect, because one day we might be the ones on the other side. How would we feel, having people poke and prod and ask us dumb questions all the time? So we try to ask for permission and say thank you, and we try to stay as polite as we can. Even if they were grumpy people, the fact that they are allowing us to see them in some way or interact some way to give us some kind of way for us to investigate and learn from them, that's a gift. And I think people forget that. I think everybody's always so gung-ho to get out there and just catch something and share it on Facebook or wherever, and they forget why a lot of us investigate, the science behind it. So
I think something too that people don't really think about is, or maybe they want to put labels on everything. I caught this, and this was so-and-so. And
demon.
I got a name, and this is it. Yeah. I mean, it's across the board. Nobody in this field 100% sure knows what they're dealing with at any given time. There was a child. Was it a child, or is that just the way it's presenting itself?
Or was it alien? We don't even know.
So we try to tread lightly with all that stuff, not to, just matter of fact, this is what it was, that kind of stuff. Because I guess we're just more, I've grown over the course of the years that I've been doing this, that I've always wanted to catch evidence, catch this. I want to get this to show this, this is so cool, which is great when you do, because we've got some great stuff. But at the end of the day, that personal feeling I get when you go and something happens that you witnessed yourself, and hopefully somebody else saw it at the same time, without having to be able to show somebody, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
Because, it's fun, and the personal experience goes a long way in this field.
I would love to. I'm going to take your equipment out to some of these remote ghost towns that I go to.
I love that. I'll tell you what, there's one that I would love to take you to, and that's Swansea, Arizona. That's a ghost town. It's BLM land. Go look at it. I had some crazy stuff happen out there that I can't even explain. And I know that there's an elemental type energy out there, and there's no lights. There's no electricity. It's an abandoned mine shaft. And I've got pictures of this. We had a snapping light come at us when we were trying to communicate with another spirit that was out there. It was trying to keep us from communicating. And it was quite an experience. I don't even, it's one I'm going back to deal with, I think, just to try to see what I can understand more about it, because I think there's some dark history out there. And to the point where I wish that someone would have cadaver dogs to go out there. I think it might be a dumping site out there. Whatever that red snapping light that's out there, it's part of the whole energy that's out there. So
it's interesting because a lot of those really remote places like that seem to be the most active. That's what I'm finding. They are absolutely the most active. As far as there's another place, it's BML land too. I think it's called Delamar, and it's a ways out. You're traveling down a dirt road at least 2.5 hours before you even hit this mountain. And then you have to climb, the whole road is washed out. It's an old wagon trail. So you have to hike up this mountain to get to it. And there's all these structures up there. Like there's an old school, and I've been up there several times now. It's my favorite place to go investigating. And every time I go up there, I get this whole saga of different EVPs and different feelings. And it's just incredible what I catch up there.
That's awesome. Seriously, one thing I was going to add to that is what we've found out over the years, you can't go into a location and know everything about it within one investigation. You have to spend time there because it's like puzzle pieces and like layers that get peeled back that form a bigger story. And you don't get that just going once or twice. Right. It kind of, you'll see that happening. That's why I want to go back to Swansea, because we were only out there maybe twice, and there's so much out there that I want to learn more about what it's going to tell. It's kind of like the land gives up its secrets in a way, and the history, and it's fascinating. So cool.
Especially if it's not on one of those tourist.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no bathrooms. You're going to the bathroom outside. People.
Make a sagebrush. Make sure there's no rattlesnakes, scorpions. Oh, yeah.
You guys, you're out teaching classes now, right? You teach.
Yeah, on our equipment, we try to guide people on how to operate it, because it is kind of a complex piece of equipment for somebody who's just starting out and don't understand it. So we like to go over how it works. Show, examples of it, talk about the background of what kind of technology is behind it, and just make sure people know how to charge it, know where the batteries are, because we get a lot of little things coming back to us, like my SLS is dead. Well, you forgot to turn it on, to plug it in, to charge it. I mean, something so simple like that gets missed a lot. So it's a basic class. Yeah. And we do basic, Paranormal 101 kind of courses too, just because there's so many people that want to get into it, and then they're not really sure. They're intimidated by equipment. It can
be kind of overwhelming,
and they
don't have focusing on equipment.
Yeah, and they don't have to go out and buy the most expensive pieces. There's so many things. There's apps on phones. There's stuff like that. If somebody really wants to get to know how to get going and started, you can do it really reasonable and cheap. I mean, when Scott started doing the SLSs, that was his whole point, is trying to not jack up the prices, because there's a couple of really good equipment makers out there. I mean, they are amazing, a couple of them. But then there's also people who take equipment and then jack the prices up to where people are buying them because they think that's the only place they can get them. Yeah. And that's where we come in, is we don't think that that's necessary. We don't want to make a buck on anybody. We get the money out of what it costs to build it and make it, and with a little bit of profit margin. We try not to gouge.
Yeah, this is just a hobby. It's a time filler for us because we enjoy doing it.
Yeah. So. One of the things we were looking at doing right now is and it's so expensive, and that's thermal. But that is one of the projects Scott and I have been working towards, is trying to figure out how to run thermal with some of our equipment and make it affordable, or at least be that to where you're getting that thermal, because that's another thing in the field a lot of people use, especially when you're going out to places like you go, having a thermal
Good
image
thermal.
of something and be able to record that simultaneously when you're catching something on a camera or however. And so that's one of the projects going forward we're working on right now.
Yeah, so that kind of segues in. We've got, we hit it pretty hard this year with events and,
Yeah.
really trying to sell a bunch of stuff at the shows and everything. And to be honest, I'm a little burnt out of it, because I'd sit, I built, I think we went to Michigan Paracon, and I think I had over 100 pieces of equipment we took.
So we had to build those. So building and getting ready for the Paracon,
Yeah,
and then still get out regular orders.
And then we came back, and I had, I think, 3 weeks to get ready for the ComCon in Virginia City in October. So after that, we just kind of taken a little bit of a break. I've got 3 or 4 pieces of equipment that I'm kind of casually working on to.
They're going to be neat, though.
Hopefully debut, first part of the year, we'll try at least get one of them out. And then a couple other are waiting on software programming. So
yeah, it's killing me because I'm seeing the prototypes and I want to show you guys so bad. Like, this is so
she's
cool.
bad with secrets.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah, she's terrible.
So yeah.
Do you guys work with? I have a friend who's in England, and he works with Secret Service kind of stuff with the government, and he's working on, because his wife is a medium.
Nice.
And she also works in Secret Service. She's from the States. He's from England. And of course, they're married, and now they're over there. He's working on a piece that I think it's thermal, and it's also it works like a REM pod, but he's designing it with I think it's called a Faraday cage around it, so that no kind of interference can interact with it unless it was actually paranormal. Do you guys work with anything like that?
We've talked about Faraday cages, especially because I saw Richard Estep uses one. That's when he uses a REM pod, and then he does the Faraday cage. And I told Scott that's a really good way to debunk, because just like, I don't know how many, a lot of people know this, but there's natural occurrences with radiation within the earth and things like that that'll set off EMFs and things like that. And so the Faraday cage keeps that out. And so you'll have one reading where the REM pod going off crazy and this one's not, then you have to kind of debunk this one here. But if the one in the Faraday cage is going off, then you got something. So it's awesome. We have not done anything like that. We have
expensive technology.
Yeah, that's kind of it. So it's almost like if we do stuff like that, it'll probably be for ourselves first.
Yeah, I guess we try to cater. When I started doing this equipment, it was more about building for myself.
Pricing stuff.
And then it got to be like, what could I offer? And that whole keeping stuff affordable.
Right.
The XLS is by far our most expensive piece.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's probably our best seller, if not the best seller, just because it is more of a top tier item. But
we've tried on our website to try to make it affordable, like give payment options type thing on our website, so people don't have to pay for it all at once, almost like a layaway or something, and different things, because it is a big piece. And then sometimes we do giveaways. We did a lot last year with sponsorships and giveaways. And my Pay It Forward, the winner, there's going to be 12 in that entry. Each month I had picked somebody that I thought needed to be showcased that wasn't necessarily in the limelight all the time.
I was one of those people, if I'm not mistaken.
You are. And I wanted to let people see what's in the paranormal world that are noteworthy, right? And so I would bring them on, and then we'd do a giveaway. And in your case, it was your book that you wrote. And then those winners go in at the end of this year, next month, for a giveaway for one of our SLS cameras. So we try to do stuff like that. We try to keep it fresh, because we know that not everybody can afford pieces like that. So we try periodically to offer ways that maybe people have a chance to get some of our stuff. So yeah. And then we're big into giving back. We want to give back as much as we can to the right people, organizations that could use it, people that, would like to get out and do stuff, but, only can get locally, but, stuff like that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's something that the paranormal world just totally misses. You do not have to go to these expensive paracons to go on a ghost hunt. You don't.
Yeah, their spirits are everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, when I was growing up, that's what we would do. We'd just go out, find a cemetery or an abandoned building. There was a place where there had been a fire in this one building, and on Halloween, me and my brother and my nieces and nephews went up there, and sure enough, my car got locked. We got locked out of my car. Lights went on and off in the car as we stood by the burnt down cabin looking at our car going, I'm not getting back in my car. So, I mean, you can pick a spot that you think gives you the willies, investigate it, find out why you feel that way. You don't have to go to all these known places. Granted, we do like to support some of the location owners, though, that some of the places we've been across the United States that we feel give back to the public and try to keep the rates low and things like that. We have been known to help them out and promote them as well. But for the most part, you're dead on with that. I think those people need to know that if they can't make it to this event or whatever, go right there. Go. You don't have to. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars to go find some place to hang out and have a good time and learn. Yeah.
Just be safe about it. Don't go crawling into the mine shaft.
Yes, and make sure you get permission. No trespassing.
So I do want to talk about Sacred Mountain Retreat Center. You guys do a lot of work for that, and you guys are big advocates of them. Can you talk a little bit about that organization and what you guys do for them? And when you do go to these paracons, most of the money that you guys are making is donated to this group.
Actually, we did an event back in Deadwood, a year and a half ago, 2 years.
That was September of last year.
Yeah, and last time. And the reason for that event was all the money for that event was to go to Sacred Mountain. And Sacred Mountain Retreat Center is located in South Dakota, above Deadwood there in Lead. And I found them because I am a 100% disabled veteran. And I heard about their program, went to their gala that they were having to learn more about them. And I left there along with everybody else with tears running down my cheeks, because they were the kind of group. I'll just read their mission statement here. I'm gonna put my glasses on. Their About Us page. It says, veterans and first responders who live or have lived a life in the service of others often wear the emotional and physical scars of their chosen professions. Sacred Mountain Retreat Center is here to help process the demons and quiet the chaos. We provide a cost-free 7-day program using peer-to-peer counseling and support, coupled with teamwork and fellowship, to create a safe place for our heroes to let their guard down. Strangers become friends, and those friends become family together. We save lives, save relationships, and save careers. They offer this program where they take you in for a week. They have an equine program. You do all kinds of, I ended up making forging a knife out of a railroad tie while I was there. So they do these things to keep your mind busy. But at night, you get together with people I was in there with a chief fire department, Navy, all police officers, all across the board, healthcare workers that have had or seen some kind of trauma that affected them, right? Because we forget, it's not just the veterans that went over and fought in war. There's a lot of stuff that happens after they come back that can cause traumas, and these are all service people. So you don't have to be service connected with the trauma. If you've had a trauma and you served in some way in service like that, you put in an application and they're there for you. You spend 7 days just to decompress up in the mountains on, I think it's like 50 some acres. And it's just a way for you to be around other peers be able to let it go. They have a burning ceremony where you write down all the stuff that's on your mind and you throw it in the fire. And then the next day you go and you take your ashes and you go outside and you bury it. You leave it. It's just really a good program. They pay for flights. I had they're my friends. I guess the biggest thing I got out of it when I went through the program is I left there with 12 individuals in my group that I would pick up that phone. Sorry.
This is why I wanted to talk about this, because I know
I'd pick up that phone and I'd be there in a heartbeat for them, and the same thing. So it is that bond that you would have or need at the time. It creates something. It really does. It's something special.
And it's something you're really, really passionate about. I love that.
Yeah, it hits me. Sorry. So let me give you the website. One of the things that we try to do is www.sacredmtnretreat.org, sacredmountainretreat.org. There's a Sacred Mountain spelled out mountain, and that's not them. It's SACRED, capital MTN, capital RETREAT.org. And so they are a 501c. Basically, all their money that they can fundraise goes to being able to get veteran service people there to enjoy a week and just to decompress. It's such a good thing out there that you don't hear much about. So we fundraised for that, because after I went through there, thanks, Tabitha. After I went through there, I was like, matter of fact, I'm wearing a sweatshirt. You can buy their gear too. I decided that was something that I wanted to share with the world and try to raise money. And we did it with that event. And then from then it was like, what else can I do? So I started going to the events, taking their brochures. Anybody who wants a brochure, all you have to do is reach out to me. I'll mail you one. If you want to know more information, they're always looking for donations, like most people, because that's all they're not tied to any government at all. So their money is not, there's no grants coming in for them. So it's all based on doing stuff like this. And so I just want to see them keep going, because they're amazing. And we don't have enough groups like that. And there's so many veterans out there that need help. And firefighters, police officers, they get forgotten. I was in there with a couple of people from 9/11. And so, like I said, it was pretty amazing experience. And I think that it's out there. I'd like to see it keep going. And I wish I could do more for them. But they have different little programs. If people want to donate like $6 a month, they have the Got Your Six program. So there's stuff like that. So every chance I get, I try to promote them. I try to push them. And that's what they are. You can go on their website and read more about them and stuff.
Yeah, we've got a link on our website too under the sponsors tab.
Okay.
Whew, I'm better now.
Well, now we need to talk a little bit about lighthearted stuff so you can stop crying.
Yeah.
Have coming up? Do you have any events coming up? I know you just said you were burned out, but I know we're talking about something.
No, we have nothing planned just yet.
Holidays
there might
coming.
be something in February we've been talking about. But right now we're just kind of, our schedule's clear. And we like it that way.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to doing that thing with you.
Yes. We'll have to go on a ghost hunt too.
Yes.
And take your equipment out to the middle of nowhere if you guys.
Yeah, we want to get some investigations in for ourselves, and to see where we go.
R&D stuff.
We have no set plans for anything in the future. We just want to enjoy what we're doing, and enjoy making equipment for people to try out and use in the field.
Yeah.
So we still have a little bit of time left. Do you guys want to walk me through your investigation methods and what you recommend for a newbie who's just starting out? What do they need to buy and what do they do with it?
Well, the first thing I always say, and this is kind of our one of our main things, is we generally try to have audio and video going all the time when you're investigating, if possible. There's downtime and things like that, but oh yeah, Tabitha.
Thanks, Tabitha. I have it sitting here too.
But if you're just getting started, really, you just you can buy a cheap, there's phone apps for a voice recorder you can use. You can use the camera on your phone. Basically, any camera will see things that you cannot see with your naked eye.
I recommend using the phone apps that a lot of people use, like Necromancer and stuff like that for like the spirit type voice box ones. The ones I like, Record Pro. It's free for like doing EVPs. It's very clear. You can get that app and put it on your phone. It's like a little old time microphone. Is their little logo on there if you go to Google Play or wherever. And your phone takes great pictures. I don't know how many apparitions and pictures that can't be debunked that I've caught off my phone in different places.
Pictures of 3, series of 3 at
one,
least.
2, 3, because things will change and you want to prove it, compare the pictures. If you have the one in the middle and the first 2 are blurry, and people make a lot of debunk the blurry pictures. You're like, oh, something went in my camera, but try to debunk. You get excited and you don't realize it and you're shaking. You got to kind of try to do some debunking. The only thing is about carrying a camera or a phone is that it needs to be on airplane mode, because if you're with other people and they're running REM pods or things like that, your phone can cause false negatives. If it gets too close to something, it'll set off equipment. And so they'll tell you walkie-talkies, no. Phones should be on airplane mode if you're going on tours and things like that. But you can still take pictures with it on airplane mode, and you can still run I think Record Pro. So that's my biggest free. Pricing from then. A REM pod's always fun because it's like the flashlights. Flashlights are another one. A lot of people use flashlights for yes and no's kind of things. So those are easy things. I would then upgrade your cameras to your night vision and things like that as you go, because you're going to catch something at dark in that full spectrum range. You want full spectrum cameras, because what our eyes can't see, your camera will pick up at night. You'd be surprised at how much stuff is around you. And that's also really fun when you're going back over and you can see that kind of stuff. So we have a full spectrum camera that we sell in the case for how much is it?
I think right now with an IR light, I think I got them on sale for $150 with a tripod.
So you can go online, you can look, you can shop around, things like that. We sell battery booster packs and things that go with stuff. So if people just want to go to our website and just kind of shop around, if they have any questions on how equipment works, all they have to do is shoot us a message. We'll explain it, because there are differences between EMF readers and your REM pods. You got electromagnetic, and then you've got your your motion sensors is what I'm thinking of. So some are based on motion, some are based on the fields that are out there. When you're out there in the middle of nowhere and you get an EMF, the ground has so much EMF in it too, and it comes and goes. So we recommend, again, try to use more than one piece of equipment. Don't validate it with just one piece and say, oh, it went crazy out there. Try to investigate more on trying to catch other ways to catch it. EVP, get out your recorder, start recording.
If you want to truly enjoy this field, you have to be willing to say that's not paranormal.
Yeah, first.
You have to be somewhat of a skeptic to be looking to debunk something. At least that's how I look at it.
It's hard sometimes being empathic and have gifts, because you might know in your gut that something's there, but if you don't catch it, there's no proof. And so you got to look at it from other people's point of view. They're going to say whatever. So even though you know it in your heart,
but the other thing too is you don't want to get so caught up in the technology though that you're doing this. I was on an investigation at WashU maybe about 2 years ago now, and I was with a very small group of people, and that's what they were doing. There was a shadow. I saw the shadow go right by the doorway, and they were all like this on their streets. They totally missed it, so I feel like you can't.
A lot of groups like to, and I like doing this too, go into a room and just set.
Settle in.
Quiet and just absorb your surroundings and let it get used to you, not you getting used to it. Let it get used to you. And then I would, and then start on stuff. And sometimes people, when they're just having conversations back and forth, they'll get a bunch of background EVPs, because for some reason, when you're comfortable, spirits seem to be comfortable.
It's very
And so, yeah, but when you're trying so hard, honestly, sometimes that don't rub them the right way. And they're going to say, we're not here to play with you guys. So it's all, some of the techniques. We like doing things like I'll get out, if there's service, I'll go like to YouTube and I'll play some old time classic music for that era, different triggers, things to see, because music's a good one. Spirits like music. They really do, especially it reminds them of a time or something. I'm not sure how it works, but we get a lot of reaction on that.
You know what? Now that you say that, I stayed the night at the Joshua Tree Inn. Actually, it was 1 year ago today. I was at Joshua Tree Inn, and I played some of Graham Parsons' music that night. And I caught so many EVPs from that night. I'm gonna have to release those and play them.
That would be neat. Yep. If one thing doesn't work, keep trying, and don't give up if it thinks like it's dead, because you might go back and review and all this stuff shows up. Just because you don't think anything's there doesn't mean that there was nothing there.
It is generally boring.
Yes. Majority of the time it is.
Yes.
But just remember this, the more equipment you have, the more data you have to go and research, go back and look at too. So you got to think of that too, because that is not fun.
Yeah.
I usually leave a recorder playing overnight, and I'm still going through reviews from that from a year ago.
Yeah, I would set up 8 closed circuit cameras and run them for at least like 8 to 10 hours. So you could do the math of sitting there looking at those.
Yeah.
Well, how do you review all of that?
Hours and hours and a notebook, and then writing
We'll get
down.
to it someday.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. But sometimes when we know we caught something, we'll do a live review right there, and then we'll write it down or make a voice note on our phone to go back and check it later, because you don't want to like lose that.
Yeah, generally we would use this closed circuit stuff for if an event happens, something happened while we're there, that we know we can go back and double check with somebody here in this area.
Yeah.
Where was everybody else at? Did this camera catch it? Initially, when we first started using them, I wanted to sit and go through every hour, every second. We've caught some EVPs on them too that were really cool, but the time you have to sit and devote to that is just crazy.
That's hardcore stuff.
Yeah. So, we just use it more for like a backup system.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, what about your book? Real quick. Tell me about your book.
So The Lost Son is my first of a trilogy I'm writing. And if you're into fantasy fiction, it's not ghost stories, it's a fantasy fiction. And if you're into vampires and Egyptian gods and gods in general, it's a little mix mash. And it's going to be, like I said, a trilogy. I'm a third of the way through my second book. And then the third one will be the big finale of everything. So I'm hoping to get you hooked in the first 2, and then boom. It is based on Osiris. He has a son with I can't even say her name, Hatshepsut, and her memory gets erased with it because of Set, which is Osiris's brother, does some awful stuff in here and takes the baby. So the baby's stolen, and the book is all about him looking for his son because Set's using him as a pawn in a bigger scheme of things. And so the first book's development of character, kind of the different characters, gets you to know the characters. And then there's a lot of action, lots of vampire stuff, a lot of fighting and stuff like that.
Definitely vampire stuff, right?
Yeah, I know. I wanted a different spin because you have the traditional vampire stuff, but I use folklore as my background and research the stuff over in Egypt about their gods, different types of gods out there in mythology that would fit more and make sense with my storyline. So I actually did some research, and actually the locations I used in here are actual locations and things like that. So
but where can they buy this? Where can they buy it?
Amazon.com. And if you do, please, all my readers who have already read it, please go in there and give me a review, please.
It's on Amazon.
Reviews. I have 2 books I'm always trying to get reviews on too.
Yes.
It's pretty hard.
Yours is on my reading list still. I haven't got to it yet, but I'm going to, and I will review it. I'm good about leaving reviews.
So if you buy it through our website,
Yes.
she signs every copy that goes out. So hornparanormal.com, hornparanormal.shop.
Yes.
Easiest really way to find us is on Horn Paranormal Research on Facebook. It's got all of our links to our YouTube website. What else? I think that's all we have is YouTube. We don't have a whole lot on YouTube, but we got some cool stuff.
Maybe one day when we get through all the stuff to make them like neat little clips, but I'm not very good at that stuff.
There's a couple cool ones from Whispers Estate that I
yeah.
think people would enjoy.
We caught my cousin Brenda when we were in Tonopah, get on camera, get 3 scratches evolve on her neck. We have that one.
I was at the Clown Motel.
Yeah, while we were sitting there. But what was funny is it wasn't a spirit from there. I think it was my grandma who actually scratched her, who passed away.
Right.
I don't think it was some scary demon from my grandma didn't like my cousin.
Rogue clown.
No, and she was talking about
demon coming out of the children's grave that's over there next
One
door.
thing I can say about that is the cemetery itself is what's haunted.
Yeah,
That's where the energy comes from, is that cemetery.
I totally agree. And I also think that it extends a little ways over too. So, but
And those are free places, guys. You can go to those cemeteries, but please do respect them. Yeah, there is protocol about that. I know somebody who might be teaching a class on etiquette, cemetery etiquette and protocol coming up, but that's also in the works.
we can't mention that just yet. You guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. Happy Thanksgiving.
Snaz booze in the beginning here.
No, it's always fun talking to you. You're taking me to those mines that you were at today. We're going to go investigate.
Yes, we will. We will.
Awesome.
So you guys, you've been listening to the Gateway Podcast, broadcast live from 107.7 FM New Orleans. And I'm very sorry about all the technical issues I had earlier today. One thing to note, I do have a little announcement. I'm running very late on Eerie Expeditions magazine, and it's because I had to think about if I was going to continue to do that one or not. And I have decided to move forward with that project. So issue 2 is going on right now. It should be live on Saturday. I am going to have about a handful in print to sell, and moving forward, EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com. And until next time.